I became addicted to sleeping pills.
You know the rules, eh? There's no rules.
Imagine this. You're sitting across from a studio executive. They just offered you $36 million. That's not a typo. $36 million for 3 movies. All you have to do is sign the contract. Your last film made over $100 million worldwide. You're one of the biggest action stars on the planet. People line up around the block just to see you do a split and kick someone in the face. So what do? You laugh. You push the contract away. And you tell them you want $20 million per movie instead. Just like Jim Carrey. The phone call ends with them laughing at you. And just like that, your career is over. That's exactly what happened to Jean-Claude Van Damme in 1995. One phone call, one moment of ego, and Hollywood turned its back on him forever. But that wasn't the only thing that destroyed his career. Behind the scenes, Van Damme was battling demons that would make any action movie villain look tame. We're talking about a $10,000 per week cocaine habit, a secret mental illness that wasn't diagnosed for years, public humiliation at a strip club that made headlines around the world. And now, in 2025, trafficking accusations that could end everything he has left. This is the story of how one of the most famous martial artists in cinema history went from box office king to direct-to-video disaster. And trust me, what you're about to hear is more intense than any movie he ever made. Jean-Claude Van Damme was born in Brussels, Belgium on October 18, 1960. His full name was Jean-Claude Camille François Van Varenberg. That's a mouthful, which is probably why he changed it later. His dad worked as an accountant and also sold flowers. His mom had Flemish roots and spoke Dutch at home while his dad spoke French. So young Jean-Claude grew up speaking both languages, which actually helped him a lot when he became famous internationally. But his childhood wasn't easy, not even close. Jean-Claude was skinny, wore thick glasses, and got bullied constantly at school. Kids called him names. They pushed him around. He wasn't strong. He wasn't athletic. He just liked reading comic books and staying quiet. He later said those years were really hard, and that he felt helpless most of the time. His father noticed this and knew something had to change. When Jean-Claude turned 11, his dad made him start lifting weights. The idea was simple. Get stronger so nobody can push you around anymore. That decision changed everything. The gym became Jean-Claude's safe place. He trained every single day, determined to never feel weak again. By the time he was 12, his father signed him up for karate classes. His coach was a tough instructor named Claude Goetz. From 1972 to 1976, Jean-Claude trained like his life depended on it. The classes were brutal. He got his nose broken more than once during sparring sessions, but he never quit. He learned discipline, he learned how to kick with precision, and he developed incredible flexibility that would later become his trademark. By 1976, when he was just 16 years old, he earned a spot on Belgium's national karate team. Think about that. The same kid who used to get bullied for being weak was now representing his entire country. But there's something else Jean-Claude did during this time that he kept secret from almost everyone. Starting at age 16 and continuing until he was 21, he took ballet lessons, 5 days a week. He knew his karate friends would laugh at him if they found out, but Jean-Claude understood something they didn't. Ballet would give him balance, grace, and body control that most martial artists never develop. He later said ballet was the hardest training he ever did, harder than martial arts. And it's the reason his kicks looked so perfect on camera. It's the reason he could do those famous splits that everyone remembers. Jean-Claude's competitive karate career was impressive. Between 1976 and 1980, he won 44 matches and lost only 4 in semi-contact competition. In December 1979, he helped the Belgian team win a major European tournament. Then on March 8, 1980, he faced off against Patrick Tugels, a fighter who had beaten him twice before. During that fight, Jean-Claude actually broke his own hand, but he kept fighting anyway. He landed a kick to Tugel's nose so hard that his opponent couldn't continue. Jean-Claude won by technical knockout. His hand needed surgery afterward, and he had to stop fighting for months. but he had proven he was a champion. In 1979, at just 19 years old, he won the European Professional Karate Association's middleweight championship. He had 18 knockouts and only one loss in full contact fights. Some people later questioned whether his record was inflated by fighting weaker opponents, but most agreed he was legitimately skilled and powerful. When he was 20, Jean-Claude opened a small gym in Brussels called California Gym. It was located right next to a cemetery, which is kind of depressing when you think about it. He hoped the gym would give him steady income and a place to train. But it barely made any money. To survive, he worked all kinds of random jobs. He delivered pizzas, he laid carpets, he did modeling for muscle magazines. He often slept in the gym itself to avoid paying rent somewhere else. He ate leftovers from restaurants. Sometimes he even stole food just to stay fed. This went on for almost 2 years, but through it all, he was saving every dollar he could, because he had a dream. He wanted to go to America and become a movie star. In 1982, at age 21, he finally made it to Los Angeles. Different stories say he arrived with anywhere from $50 to $5,000. Whatever the real number was, the point is, he had almost nothing. No English skills, no acting experience, no connections. He lived in his car near Venice Beach. He showered in public bathrooms. He did odd jobs like cleaning apartments, waiting tables, and delivering more pizzas. At one point, he worked as a limo driver and actually met Chuck Norris, who would later give him a chance to do stunt work. His first appearance in a movie was in 1984's Breakin'. He showed up in the background for literally 1 second doing a silly dance. He wasn't even credited. Around this time, he also worked as a bouncer at a bar that Chuck Norris owned. He was completely broke. There are stories of him eating from trash cans just to survive. But every single day, he kept training. He kept auditioning. And eventually, he became a sparring partner for Chuck Norris himself. That's how he started getting noticed. In 1986, he got a small role as a villain in a movie called No Retreat, No Surrender. He was paid just $250 to play a brutal Russian fighter. During filming, he hit his co-stars for real during the fight scenes. The director kept telling him to stop actually hurting people. But Van Damme was intense. He was serious about making every punch and kick look authentic. That same year, he made the boldest move of his life. He was working at a restaurant when he saw producer Menahem Golan eating there. Van Damme walked up to him and did a perfect roundhouse kick while holding a bowl of soup. Golan was so impressed that he invited him to audition. Van Damme waited at the Cannon Films office all day. When Golan finally called him in, Jean-Claude took off his shirt and started doing high kicks right over the producer's head. Golan was stunned. He threw a script at him and said they were filming next week in Hong Kong. That script was for Bloodsport. Bloodsport was made on a tiny budget somewhere between $1.5 and $2.3 million. Van Damme did all his own stunts with no safety equipment. He performed splits on kitchen counters. He did every single kick himself. The fights were dangerous, but he didn't care. The movie was delayed and almost went straight to video. But Van Damme convinced Golan to let him re-edit the fight scenes. He worked for weeks getting them perfect. When Bloodsport finally came out in 1988, it shocked everyone by making $50 million worldwide. But not everything went smoothly during this time. In 1987, he had a nightmare experience auditioning for Predator. He was hired to wear the alien costume, which cost $20,000 to make. He absolutely hated it. The suit was claustrophobic and he passed out twice while wearing it. The producer warned him that if it happened again, he'd be fired. Van Damme snapped. He ripped off the expensive headpiece and smashed it on the ground. The producer screamed at him and threw him off the set. They replaced him with a 7-foot-tall actor named Kevin Peter Hall. In 1989, Jean-Claude Van Damme became a global superstar with Kickboxer. It came out on September 8th and made $50 million, even though it only cost $2.7 million to make. The movie was filmed in Thailand, where Van Damme trained in real Muay Thai with local fighters. It was the first major Hollywood movie to showcase Thai kickboxing to a worldwide audience. The most memorable scene is when Van Damme dances drunkenly in a Bangkok bar. He moves to the music with his shirt open, looking wild, and then suddenly gets into a brutal fight. That strange combination of funny and violent became one of the most talked about moments in his career. Also in 1989, Cyborg came out. It was shot in just 23 days for less than $500,000. The director literally wrote the script in one weekend to use leftover costumes and sets from canceled projects. During filming, Van Damme accidentally hit actor Jackson Rock Pinkney in the eye with a prop knife. The injury cost the studio $485,000 in a lawsuit. But despite the chaos and terrible reviews, the movie made over $10 million. In 1990, Lionheart showed Van Damme in a more emotional role. He played a soldier who deserts the French Foreign Legion and enters illegal street fights in Los Angeles to support his dead brother's family. Van Damme got hurt several times while filming, including a dislocated shoulder. This was the movie that proved he could actually act, not just fight. Later that year, he starred in Death Warrant, where he played a cop going undercover in a prison. It made $46 million on a $6 million budget. In 1991, he did Double Impact, where he played twin brothers. He had to switch between playing a calm, charming brother and a tough, angry one. This was before modern computer effects, so everything had to be done with camera tricks and optical effects. It was one of the first movies where audiences realized he could handle complex acting roles. By 1992, Van Damme hit it big with Universal Soldier. It made $112 million worldwide on a $23 million budget. But behind the scenes, things were getting tense. He demanded a fancy trailer and wouldn't come out unless his wife, bodybuilder Gladys Portuguese, was with him on set. That caused huge delays because she had to be flown to each filming location. His co-star Dolph Lundgren said Van Damme had become difficult and full of ego. In 1993, he worked with famous Hong Kong director John Woo on Hard Target. Van Damme insisted on doing his own stunts, and during one scene with a horse, he almost shattered his leg. In 1994, Time Cop became Van Damme's biggest hit ever, earning $101.6 million. The kitchen scene where he avoids electrocution by jumping into a split became iconic. He got paid $3 million for the role. But this is where everything started falling apart. During the filming of Street Fighter later in 1994, Van Damme was using $10,000 worth of cocaine every single week. Let that sink in. $10,000. Every week. That's over $500,000 a year just on drugs. The director said Van Damme would show up high and disappear for hours. They literally had to hire someone whose only job was to find him and keep track of him. On top of that, he had an affair with Kylie Minogue while filming in Thailand. His wife Darcy Lapierre was pregnant at the time and didn't know about it until he admitted it years later in 2012. In 1995, he got his highest paycheck ever, $5 million for sudden death. But that's also the year he got the phone call that ended his career. Universal Pictures offered him $36 million for a trilogy, $12 million per movie. Time Cop had just made over $100 million worldwide. He was a proven box office draw. Instead of signing, Van Damme told them he wanted $20 million per film, just like Jim Carrey. He said everything he touched turned into money. But what he heard on the other end wasn't a counteroffer. They laughed at him and hung up the phone. That single moment got him blacklisted overnight. Behind the scenes, the cocaine addiction was destroying him. He was using around 10 grams a day. He'd disappear for sets. He'd miss entire shooting days. The studio had to assign him a handler, but that person only made things worse by bringing champagne to the set and partying with him. By the time Double Team was filming in 1996, Van Damme was hallucinating. He checked into rehab but walked out after just 7 days. People in Hollywood started calling him Jean-Claude Van Desperate. In 1998, everything crashed down at once. After a suicide attempt, doctors diagnosed him with rapid cycling bipolar disorder. He had been swinging between manic highs and depressive lows for years without understanding why. During manic episodes, he was hyper-creative, but aggressive. He'd lash out, demand outrageous salaries, and self-medicate with cocaine. The suicide attempt finally pushed him to get serious help. He went on mood stabilizers and later spoke openly about his mental illness on Oprah in 2007. But before he got help, there was one more humiliating incident that destroyed whatever was left of his tough guy reputation. On February 5, 1998, at a strip club in Manhattan, Van Damme insulted Chuck Zito, who was the president of the Hells Angels. Van Damme made a cocky comment in the bathroom saying Zito had no heart. Word got back to Zito. He walked up to Van Damme's table and asked if he really said it. Van Damme said yes. Zito didn't waste a second. He knocked him clean out with a combination punch. Van Damme flipped back in his chair and hit the floor. Zito kept punching until security pulled him off. As Van Damme lay unconscious, Zito yelled that this wasn't the movies, this was the street, and he owned the street. The story hit every newspaper and spread through Hollywood like wildfire. In 1999, Van Damme's movies started going straight to video. Universal Soldier, The Return, was a complete disaster. It cost $45 million to make, but earned only $10.7 million worldwide. It made only $2,800 per theater on opening weekend. His career as a major box office star was officially over. He was now a direct-to-DVD actor. For years, Van Damme struggled to rebuild his reputation. In 2008, he tried something different with a movie called JCVD. It was raw and self-aware. He played a broken version of himself caught in a fake robbery while battling real custody issues and money problems. There's an 8-minute scene where he breaks down crying and confesses everything. The drugs, the bad movies, the broken marriages. Critics loved it, but audiences didn't. People felt uncomfortable watching their action hero cry. In 2012, The Expendables 2 gave him a chance to work with other aging action stars. He played the villain. But when he tried to join the Fast and Furious franchise, Vin Diesel blocked him. Van Damme revealed in 2023 that Diesel said he didn't want him in the movies. Even though Van Damme did well in Expendables 2, they killed his character off. He later compared himself to a manual transmission in a world of electric cars, saying Hollywood had no room for guys like him anymore. Then in April 2025 came the darkest accusation yet. Romanian prosecutors accused him of being involved in a trafficking scandal. At an event back in 2015, Van Damme allegedly accepted 5 trafficked women from a Romanian crime boss. Witnesses claimed the women were taken from a fashion group and delivered to Van Damme at a hotel party. One lawyer said the women showed clear signs of exploitation. Van Damme's agent called the claims absurd, but the investigation is ongoing. The fallout has been massive. Despite everything, Van Damme hasn't completely vanished. He's done voice work in animated films like Kung Fu Panda 2 and Minions, The Rise of Gru. He shifted toward roles that don't require the old physical intensity. Medication and daily workouts have helped him stay stable. Martial arts became his therapy. He trains every day to manage his bipolar disorder. In April 2020, he even launched an online program called Train with Van Damme, showing people how to work out at home with no equipment. In 2016, he starred in a self-parody show on Amazon called Jean-Claude Van Damme. He played himself as a washed-up actor who was also a secret agent. The show made fun of his addictions, his ego, and his ruined image. It only ran for 6 episodes, but fans appreciated seeing a version of Van Damme who could laugh at himself. In 2024, he returned in Darkness of Man, playing a former agent trying to protect a child from gangs. His real-life son co-starred, adding emotional weight to the film. So what's the lesson here? Jean-Claude Van Damme's story is a warning about what happens when ego, addiction, and mental illness collide at the worst possible time. He was offered $36 million and turned it down because he thought he deserved more. He was burning through $10,000 of cocaine every week while trying to maintain a career. He was dealing with undiagnosed bipolar disorder that made him unpredictable and difficult to work with. And when he finally got knocked out in a public fight, his tough guy image was shattered forever. One phone call, one moment of arrogance, and Hollywood was done with him. His career didn't end because he got old. It didn't end because his movies stopped being profitable. It ended because he overestimated his value and underestimated how quickly the industry would replace him. By the time he got clean and got treatment for his mental health, it was too late. The direct-to-video roles kept coming. The big budgets never returned. And now, with trafficking accusations hanging over his head, even his comeback attempts are in jeopardy. But here's the thing. Van Damme is still here. He's still training. He's still working. He's still trying to prove he has something left to offer. Whether Hollywood will give him another real chance remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. His story is one of the most dramatic rises and falls in action movie history, and it all came crashing down immediately after one terrible decision. If you enjoyed learning about Jean-Claude Van Damme's incredible rise and devastating fall, make sure you hit that like button right now. Share this video with anyone who loves action movies or Hollywood history. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss another deep dive into the stories behind your favorite stars. Trust me, there are plenty more shocking stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.